Hey guys, it's Kimberly from the Fat Quarter Shop, and Annie from ByAnnie has designed this cute little Petit Four for us. It just uses 2 layer cake squares and her soft and stable, and you can hold your alpha bitties, wonder clips, or fat quarters, or your RFL thread. So show me how. Okay, so we're going to start with 2 layer cake squares, right?
Yes.
So tell me where we start.
All right. First of all, we want to pick one that we want for the lining of the basket, and we're going to leave that just as it is, 10 inches by 10 inches.
Okay.
Then we want to pick out another one that we want to be the outside of the basket, and that one we're going to trim down a little bit. So we're going to make that one 9 inches high and leave it at 10 inches wide.
Okay.
So 9 by 10. That enables us to let our lining fold over to the outside and give us a little extra interest out there. Then we're going to cut a 9.5 by 10.5 inch piece of soft and stable, and we're going to take the 9 by 10 inch piece of main fabric and center it on that. We'll take that to our sewing machine and we'll sew 1/8 of an inch from the edge all the way around the piece. That joins the 2 pieces together. Then we're going to do some marking on that piece, and I like to use a chalk marker because it is pretty temporary. It goes away pretty easily. Use your ruler. Make sure that you're lining your ruler up on the outside so that your lines aren't growing as you go.
And you've trimmed?
Yes, I trimmed my soft and stable first to match the edges of my fabric. So now I have a 9 by 10 inch piece of fabric stabilized by my soft and stable. And we're going to measure some lines. We're going to do horizontal lines from side to side, 2.5 inches down from the top, 2.5 inches up from the bottom, and then we're going to do vertical lines from top to bottom, 2.5 inch in from the left, 2.5 inch from the right.
So all the way around you've got a 2.5 inch kind of circle, but you do need these other lines.
Yes, because in our next step we're going to stitch right along all of those marked lines. And there's several reasons for that. The main thing is soft and stable is really good at following directions, and if you want it to fold somewhere, you just stitch a line there, and then it knows this is where she wants me to fold. I'm going to follow what she tells me. So by stitching these lines, we have now created our sides, our bottom of our basket. And after those are stitched, then we're going to come in and trim away these 2 side rectangles. And it's really important to make sure that these are the ones you're trimming. Leave the squares alone that are in the corners and leave the longer ones that are at the top and bottom alone. So just double check as you're cutting. If you accidentally turn this, it's not these, it's the shorter ones. So don't trim the big ones, trim the short ones. And you're just going to cut right inside your stitching lines on each side so you have what looks like this. It's going to make like the big letter I.
Okay, and we've still got our stitches there.
Right, and now we're going to bring this together and form the sides of our basket, and we're going to sew these together. So if you want to take that and put some wonder clips on there, I put a wonder clip on each side, and then we'll take that to our sewing machine and sew a 1/2 inch seam on each side. The dimensions are such that a 1/2 inch seam perfectly makes that fit the bottom once we're done.
And if you're a quilter and you're not used to doing 1/2 inch seam, I would just mark it with the Choco pin.
Yes.
And that way I get a 1/2 inch seam and I don't have to think about it too much.
Exactly. That's a really, really good idea. So then we've got our seam sewn, and if you want to grab that little ironing board, it's the perfect way to press these seams open. If you tried to put this on your big ironing board, it wouldn't fit. But you can lay it right on top of this. It's just the right size, and then you can press that seam open really nice. Because soft and stable is polyester, you don't want to have your iron set really hot, but a medium heat with some nice steam is going to make that lay really nice and flat. Then we're going to sew our bottom seams, and it's just a matter of bringing those together, and then we're going to sew across that with a 1/4 inch seam. So the wonder clips work perfect to hold each side.
So your sides are going to be sewn with the 1/2 inch, and then the bottom is going to be sewn
Pretty
with
much
a 1/4 inch
everything
seam.
from there on out is a 1/4 inch seam.
Okay.
So the sides 1/2 inch, on the main fabric and the lining, but everything else is a quarter. So when we're done, we're going to have what looks like this. And you can see how nice that soft and stable makes that little basket stand up and hold its shape. These sides are falling out because I've had it folded away in my suitcase, but normally that's going to stand up and hold its shape beautifully.
So now we have our outside done. Show me how we're going to do the lining.
All right, this is really similar, but there's one important difference. Remember when we picked our 2 squares, one of them we trimmed. The one that we did on the outside, we trimmed down to 9 inches high and 10 inches wide. On our lining, we kept it at 10 by 10 inches. So when we mark our lines on here, we need to mark them a little bit different. And I usually mark these on the back side of the fabric so I can use a pencil and not worry about erasing it at all. So again, from top to bottom, we're going to measure in 2.5 inches from each side and mark those lines. But on the lines that we're marking from side to side, we're measuring 3 inches down and 3 inches up from the bottom so that we take care of that extra inch of fabric that we have. So we're adding 1/2 inch to each of those measurements. So 3 inches, 3 inches, 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches. Marked those lines and then cut out again the side rectangles, not the top and bottom, the 2 sides. So when you're done, it's going to look like this. So we've got our sides cut out on each side, and then we're going to be ready to sew that. And we're sewing our sides exactly like we did for the outside, 1/2 inch seam on each side. Take those to your little ironing board, press those seams open. And now when we do our bottom seams to join them on the bottom, one side we're going to do exactly like we did, where we sew across it with a 1/4 inch seam, but on the other one, we need to leave an opening because we want to sew all the way around the top of the basket so it looks the best. We want to leave an opening for turning it in the bottom of the lining because that's going to be kind of hidden once we get things in our basket.
So when you stitch that opening, you're going to backstitch so that when you're pulling it out, it's not going to rip on you.
Yes, and you want to leave enough of an opening that you can get it through there fairly easily. So we're going to have a lining that looks like this. We've got our sides sewn, and as you can see, we've got a little opening right here in the middle where we're going to be able to turn our basket right side out.
So this is your outside, so we're going to flip this open, right?
Yes, we're going to make that right side fabric right side out, and
Okay.
we're going to set that right inside our lining. And we're going to match up our seams. So you've got a seam here, a seam here. You're going to turn them so they're going the same directions. Perfect. Bring your seams together, put some wonder clips on there, and when you go to sew this at your machine, it's going to be a lot easier to sew this if you take your table off and make it go around your free arm machine if you've got that option on your machine. If you don't, just hold it so that the flat part of the bag is down or basket and the rest of it's up, and that will make it easier.
And what seam, or what's the
We're
size?
doing a 1/4 inch seam on this as well.
Okay.
And I usually have my stitch length set at about 2.5. 3 is a little bit big. I do 2.5, 2 3/4 in there. One thing that I haven't mentioned before, when I sew with Soft and Stable, I like to use top stitch needles. They have a little bit bigger eye on them, which makes them easy to thread, and they're a little stronger in the shank, and they have a groove down the shank so your thread rests in it, which keeps it from fraying, and it just seems to work really, really well with the Soft and Stable. So we're going to take that to the machine, we're going to sew all the way around the top, and then we're going to pull the basket through the little opening that we left down here in our lining.
Okay, so let's do that
and
next.
then we'll turn it right side out.
Yep. Okay, so you've sewn all the way around the outside. Now what's next?
Now we're just going to turn it right side out and finish it up. So we've got an opening left right here in the side. Again, I just kind of reach my fingers in there and grab a hold of the basket as well as I can and start pushing and pulling.
And really using Soft and Stable is going to really make your basket stand up, and if you use batting, it's going to be flimsy and it's not going to have this shape. So that's really the most important part of this. Having success is really having the Soft and Stable.
Right. And then the stitching lines that you do for the Soft and Stable to make it fold gives it really nice definition on your sides as well. So we've almost got this turned right side out. All right, so we've get that all the way turned inside out, and then I usually, because this is going to be more visible, I will usually hand stitch this shut. I very seldom do any kind of hand stitching on bags or purses, but this is one where it is going to be noticeable, so I'd whip stitch that shut. And then we've designed this so that our lining folds over, and you can see that it gives you a little faux border on the top. So I will just go and stitch in the ditch right around here all the way.
With
get my
matching
iron
thread.
out, do some pressing to make that stand up really nice, and there you've got a cute little basket for gifts. It'd make a great hostess gift. Put some little trinkets in there for someone, birthday gifts for kids, birthday favors. There's just an abundant number of things you can do with these.
Gift cards would fit. They're really cute, and I know everybody's gonna love this because everybody has layer cake squares left over. So
For sure. So 2 layer cakes, you've got some little Petit Four baskets. Have fun stitching.